Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Endeavour, watching the stars stretch into lines as the ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The view never got old, even after 3 years of deep space missions. This was humanity's 5th year among the stars, and their first real diplomatic mission to the outer rim of the galaxy. "We're approaching the Kepler station, Captain," announced Lieutenant Ryan Blake from his position at the tactical console. The young officer had been with Jake since their first voyage beyond Earth's solar system. "The alien delegates should be waiting for us." Dr. Lisa Carter looked up from her science station, pushing a strand of brown hair behind her ear. As the ship's xenobiologist, she had studied every known alien species in preparation for this meeting. "I'm still reading some unusual energy signatures from this sector, Captain. Something doesn't feel right." Jake nodded. Lisa's instincts had saved them more than once during their travels. The woman had a gift for reading situations that went beyond her scientific training. "Keep monitoring it, Doc. Better safe than sorry." Engineer. Kate Sullivan emerged from the lower decks, wiping grease from her hands with a dirty rag. The Endeavour was humanity's most advanced ship, but it still required constant maintenance. Kate had kept them running through asteroid fields, plasma storms, and more than one close call with hostile aliens. "The engines are running smooth, Captain," Kate reported. "Though I'm picking up some weird interference on the long-range sensors. Might be nothing, but it's not like anything I've seen before." Before Jake could respond, the communications console lit up with an incoming signal. The transmission was weak and filled with static, but the universal translator managed to decode most of it. "This is an emergency broadcast to all ships in the outer rim," the voice said, speaking in the crystalline tones of a Zephyrian. "The Galactic Council is calling for immediate evacuation of all populated systems in sectors 7 through 12. Unknown entity has begun consuming entire star systems. Repeat, this is not a drill." The bridge fell silent. Jake had never heard panic in an alien voice before, but there was no mistaking the fear in the transmission. The Zephyrians were one of the oldest races in the galaxy, nearly 10,000 years more advanced than humanity. For them to sound scared meant something truly terrible was happening. "Captain, I'm getting multiple distress signals," Ryan said, his fingers dancing across his console. "Looks like dozens of ships are fleeing from the galactic core. All of them are heading toward the outer rim." Lisa's face had gone pale as she studied her readings. "Jake, the energy signatures I was detecting earlier, they're getting stronger, and they're coming from the direction of those distress signals." Kate moved to her engineering station and began running diagnostics. "All our systems are green, but I'm reading some kind of interference pattern. It's like something is messing with the fabric of space itself." Jake made a decision that would change the course of human history. Instead of following protocol and requesting orders from Earth Command, he turned to his crew. "Plot a course toward the source of those signals. We're going to investigate." "Captain, with respect, shouldn't we be running away like everyone else?" Ryan asked. The tactical officer was brave, but he wasn't stupid. If advanced alien civilizations were fleeing, maybe humans should too. "That's exactly why we need to go," Jake replied. "Everyone else is running. Someone needs to find out what's actually happening." The Endeavour changed course and headed deeper into the galaxy. As they traveled, more emergency broadcasts filled the communication channels. The picture they painted was terrifying. Something called the Void Swarm had awakened from the galactic core, consuming everything in its path. Entire civilizations were abandoning their homeworlds. 3 hours into their journey, they encountered their first refugee fleet. Hundreds of alien ships of all shapes and sizes were fleeing in panic. The Endeavour pulled alongside a massive synthetics vessel, its metal hull scarred and blackened. "Unknown human vessel, you are traveling in the wrong direction," came a mechanical voice over the radio. "Turn back immediately. The swarm cannot be stopped." Jake opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Morrison of the Earthship Endeavour. We're investigating the threat. What exactly is this void swarm?" There was a long pause before the synthetics replied. "It is death itself, human. It consumes matter and energy, converting everything into dark void. Our most powerful weapons only feed it. Our greatest minds cannot understand it. Turn back while you still can. But Jake pressed forward. The refugee streams grew thicker as they approached the affected region. Ships limped past them, some barely holding together. The crew of the Endeavor saw things that would haunt their dreams. Massive colony ships with millions of refugees, proud warships fleeing in defeat, ancient vessels that had never retreated from anything. "Captain, I'm detecting a massive energy disturbance ahead," Lisa reported. "It's unlike anything in our databases. The readings don't make sense." On the main screen, space itself seemed to be twisting. Stars were disappearing, not exploding or burning out, but simply ceasing to exist. In their place was an expanding darkness that hurt to look at directly. "Dear God," Kate whispered. "It's eating reality itself." They received one final transmission before entering the affected zone. It came from Veltar, a Zephyrian representative to the Galactic Council. The ancient being's voice was filled with despair. "To any who receive this message, the galaxy is lost," Veltar said. "The Void Swarm has consumed 17 star systems in the past cycle. Every weapon we possess only makes it stronger. Every energy-based defense feeds its growth. We, the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, are powerless against it." The transmission crackled with static before continuing. Perhaps the primitive species can offer what we cannot. We who transcended biology, who became beings of pure energy and thought, we have forgotten the strength that comes from flesh and bone. If any organic species receives this message, do not make our mistakes. The answer may lie not in advancement, but in returning to what we once were. As the message ended, Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was human, biological, what the aliens called primitive. They breathed air, ate food, felt fear and hope and anger. Everything the advanced species had left behind in their quest for perfection. "Captain, sensors are detecting something massive ahead," Ryan announced. "It's bigger than anything we've ever seen, the size of a small moon, but it's not solid. It's like a living cloud of darkness." Jake stood up from his captain's chair and straightened his uniform. "All hands, this is the captain. We're about to encounter something that has terrified the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. But we're human. We've survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and everything else our death world could throw at us. Whatever this thing is, we'll face it like humans do. Together." Lisa checked her instruments one more time. "Jake, I'm reading something strange. The swarm seems to be avoiding areas with high concentrations of organic matter. It's consuming the synthetic materials and energy signatures, but it's leaving the biological components alone." Kate looked up from her console with wide eyes. "Are you saying this thing can't consume living tissue?" Before Lisa could answer, the Endeavor crossed into the swarm's territory. The ship shuddered as it passed through the boundary, but the hull held. The crew waited for alarms, for system failures, for the death that had claimed so many others. Instead, they found themselves flying through a graveyard of alien technology, while their simple biological selves remained untouched. Jake smiled grimly as he realized what the galaxy's greatest minds had missed. Sometimes the most primitive solution was the right one. The Endeavor drifted through what had once been the Altair system. Where 5 planets had orbited a bright yellow star, now there was only empty space and a dim, dying light. The star itself was shrinking, its energy being drained away by the dark mass that surrounded it. Jake Morrison watched the main screen with a mixture of horror and fascination. Nothing in human experience had prepared them for this sight. Entire worlds had simply vanished, leaving behind only traces of exotic particles that Lisa's instruments could barely detect. "How long ago did this happen?" Jake asked, his voice quiet in the bridge's tense atmosphere. Dr. Lisa Carter studied her readings carefully. "Based on the energy decay patterns, I'd say about 3 days. The swarm moved through here fast and completely." She paused, frowning at her data. "Captain, I'm seeing something odd. The organic compounds from the planets are still here, scattered, but present. It's like the swarm separated the living matter from everything else. Engineer Kate Sullivan looked up from her console where she had been monitoring the ship's systems. That matches what I'm seeing on the engineering side. Our organic components are completely untouched, but anything synthetic or energy-based is showing stress patterns. It's like the swarm is trying to consume our artificial systems but can't quite manage it. Lieutenant Ryan Blake turned from his tactical station. Captain, I'm detecting movement in the outer region of the system. It looks like a piece of the swarm broke off from the main mass. On the screen, a tendril of darkness separated from the larger cloud and began moving toward their ship. It moved with purpose like a living thing hunting prey. As it grew closer, the crew could see it wasn't just empty space. It was filled with swirling patterns of dark energy that seemed to bend light around them. Should we retreat, Captain? Ryan asked, his hand hovering over the weapons controls. Jake shook his head. No. We need to understand what we're dealing with. Lisa, can you scan that thing as it approaches? Dr. Carter's fingers flew over her instruments. I'm getting readings, but they don't make sense. It's not matter as we understand it. It's like organized nothingness, pure entropy given form. She looked up with excitement. Jake, this is incredible. The swarm isn't just consuming matter and energy. It's converting organized patterns into chaos. It's literally unmaking the structure of reality. The dark tendril reached the Endeavor and began to wrap around the ship's hull. The crew braced for impact, but nothing happened. The ship's lights didn't dim, the engines kept running, and all systems remained operational. That's impossible, Kate muttered, checking her readings again. According to everything the aliens told us, we should be dead by now. Lisa was practically bouncing in her chair with scientific excitement. Don't you see? The swarm feeds on organized energy patterns, complex synthetic materials, refined metals, pure energy weapons. But biological systems are different. We're organized chaos. Our neural patterns, our cellular structures, even our DNA, it's all semi-random. We're too disorganized for the swarm to process. Jake felt a smile tugging at his lips. So our messiness is actually protecting us? Exactly. The aliens evolved, beyond biology. They became beings of pure order, perfect energy patterns, flawless synthetic constructs. To the swarm, they're like perfectly prepared meals. But humans? We're like trying to eat static. The tendril around their ship suddenly recoiled, as if it had touched something unpleasant. It retreated back to the main mass, leaving the Endeavor completely unharmed. Ryan stared at his instruments in amazement. It actually ran away from us. Kate laughed, a sound of pure relief and wonder. We're too weird for a reality-eating monster. I love being human. But Jake's expression grew serious as the implications hit him. If we can resist the swarm, we might be able to do more than just survive. Lisa, what would happen if we got closer to the main mass? Dr. Carter considered the question. Theoretically, our biological presence might disrupt its feeding patterns. Human brainwaves are incredibly chaotic, especially under stress. If I'm right about how the swarm processes information, our neural activity might actually confuse it. Jake made another command decision that would echo through galactic history. Plot a course for the main swarm mass. We're going in. As the Endeavor approached the heart of the consumed system, the crew began to understand the true scale of what they were facing. The swarm wasn't just a cloud of darkness. It was a vast, complex entity that stretched across millions of kilometers. Within its depths, they could see the remnants of alien technology being broken down and converted into dark energy. Captain, I'm detecting something that looks like a structure in the center, Ryan reported. It's massive, bigger than Earth's moon. The structure was unlike anything in human or alien records. It seemed to be made of crystallized darkness, geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Around it, smaller tendrils moved with purpose, sorting through the debris of consumed worlds. It's beautiful in a terrifying way, Lisa whispered. Like a cathedral made of entropy. As they drew closer, something unexpected happened. The smaller tendrils that had been efficiently processing debris began to move erratically. Some stopped working entirely while others started consuming each other instead of the alien technology. Our presence is disrupting its operations, Kate observed with growing excitement. Just by being here, we're throwing off its entire system. Jake opened a communication channel on all frequencies. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Endeavor to any survivors in this system. We have discovered that biological life forms can resist the swarm. If anyone is receiving this transmission, know that you are not alone. The response came from an unexpected source. Deep within the swarm structure, a weak signal emerged. It was Veltar, the Zephyrian council member whose final message they had received earlier. "Human vessel, how are you still alive?" Veltar's voice was filled with disbelief. "We have been trapped within the swarm's core for days. Our energy matrices are failing, but we cannot escape." Lisa quickly triangulated the signal. "Jake, there are survivors trapped in the center structure. But I don't understand how they're still alive if the swarm consumes energy beings." Veltar's voice crackled over the radio again. "We discovered that the swarm processes its prey slowly when trapped within its core. It is studying us, learning our patterns before final consumption. But you humans, you are different. Your chaotic nature confuses the entity. It cannot categorize you." Jake made his decision instantly. "We're coming to get you. Prepare for extraction." "Impossible," Veltar replied. "No ship can survive in the core structure. The entropy fields will dissolve any artificial construct." "Maybe," Jake said with a grim smile. "But we're not just artificial. Ryan, take us in. Kate, reroute all power to life support and structural integrity. Lisa, monitor the swarm's behavior patterns." The Endeavor plunged into the heart of the swarm. Around them, reality bent and twisted. Impossible geometries surrounded the ship as they navigated through passages that existed in more dimensions than human minds could process. But the ship held together. More than that, their presence was causing chaos throughout the structure. Automatic systems began malfunctioning. Sorting tendrils turned on each other. The perfect order of the swarm's operation was breaking down into beautiful, chaotic confusion. "I can see them," Ryan announced. "A cluster of energy beings trapped in some kind of containment field." Jake nodded. "Take us in. It's time to show the galaxy what Deathworlders can do." As the Endeavor approached the trapped aliens, the swarm's confusion grew. For the first time in its existence, it encountered something it could not understand or consume. And that confusion would prove to be the first crack in its perfect, terrible order. The rescue of the Galactic Council members would be just the beginning of humanity's role in saving the galaxy. The message from Captain Jake Morrison reached Earth Command 3 days after the Endeavor's successful rescue of the Galactic Council members. General Patricia Hayes stood in the Situation Room, watching as reports flooded in from across human space. Every colony, every outpost, every human settlement was reporting the same impossible thing. "Ma'am, we have confirmation from New Dallas Colony," reported Major Sam Torres, his voice filled with disbelief. "A swarm scout passed within 50 kilometers of their main settlement. The colonists reported that it simply avoided them and moved." Army President Alex Turner shook his head as he reviewed the data. "This doesn't make sense. According to every alien report, the swarm consumes everything in its path, but it's treating our people like we don't exist." General Hayes pulled up a star map showing the swarm's movement patterns. "It's not that we don't exist, Mr. President. It's that we're something it can't process. Look at these movement patterns. Every time a swarm tendril encounters a human settlement, it changes course." Dr. Ben Clark, Earth's leading xenobiologist, had been studying the reports for hours. "General, I think I understand what's happening. The swarm is designed to consume organized matter and energy. But humans evolved on Earth, and Earth was different from every other world that produced intelligent life." Alex Turner looked up from his briefing papers. "Different how?" Dr. Clark activated a holographic display showing Earth's evolutionary history. "Most worlds that develop intelligent life are stable, predictable environments. The aliens we've met evolved on planets with steady climates, reliable food sources, and minimal natural disasters. But Earth was chaos, Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, massive extinction events. We evolved to survive chaos itself. General Hayes began to see the implications. So our biology is built to handle randomness and disorder. Exactly. Our neural patterns are designed to function in unpredictable situations. Our cellular structure includes redundant systems and random mutations. Even our DNA contains what scientists call junk sequences that serve no obvious purpose. To the swarm, we must look like walking chaos generators. The president stood up and walked to the window overlooking the Capitol. If this is true, then we're not just immune to the swarm. We might be able to fight it. Before anyone could respond, the communication system activated with an urgent message from the outer colonies. The voice belonged to Marine Sergeant Danny Rodriguez, stationed on Kepler-7, one of humanity's furthest outposts. Earth Command, this is Kepler-7. We have a situation here that you need to know about. A swarm mass consumed the mining station on Kepler-6 yesterday. We decided to investigate instead of evacuating. General Hayes leaned forward. Sergeant, please tell me you didn't put civilians at risk. Danny's voice carried a mixture of excitement and disbelief. Ma'am, we took a squad of volunteers to the consumed area. Corporal Amy Foster, Private Chris Parker, and 6 others. What we found changes everything. The room fell silent as Danny continued his report. The swarm had turned the entire mining complex into some kind of dark energy construct. But when we got within 100 meters, the structure started to destabilize. By the time we reached the center, it was falling apart. Dr. Clark grabbed his tablet and began taking notes. Sergeant, did you experience any physical effects from proximity to the swarm construct? Negative, sir. If anything, we felt more alert than usual, like drinking too much coffee. But the swarm construct reacted to us like we were poison. The dark energy patterns became chaotic and eventually collapsed entirely. General Hayes exchanged looks with the president. Sergeant, what's the status of the mining complex now? That's the incredible part, ma'am. The swarm construct is gone, but the original mining equipment is still here, damaged but repairable. It's like our presence forced the swarm to give back what it had consumed. The implications hit everyone in the room at the same time. Humans weren't just immune to the swarm. Their presence could actually reverse its effects. Within hours, the president had authorized Operation Deathworld, the largest military mobilization in human history. Every available ship was loaded with Marines, Army units, and civilian volunteers. The plan was simple. Instead of running from the swarm like every other species, humanity would walk straight into its consumed territories and take them back. Sergeant Rodriguez found himself leading the first official mission to reclaim a swarm-consumed world. The planet Harmony had been a peaceful agricultural colony shared between humans and the plant-like Verdani species. The swarm had consumed it 2 weeks earlier, forcing the evacuation of 3 million beings. Rodriguez's team included Corporal Foster, Private Parker, and 20 other volunteers from across human space. They landed on Harmony's surface in simple atmospheric shuttles, carrying basic weapons and survival gear. What they found defied all expectations. The planet's surface had been transformed into a geometric nightmare of dark, crystalline structures. Where once there had been farms and forests, now there were angular patterns that extended to the horizon. The structures pulsed with dark energy, creating a rhythm that seemed to match some cosmic heartbeat. This is beautiful in a terrifying way, Amy Foster whispered as they moved through the transformed landscape. Chris Parker checked his scanner. I'm reading massive energy concentrations, but nothing that registers as dangerous to biological life. It's like the swarm built a completely different version of the planet. As the human team moved deeper into the consumed territory, the dark structures began to react to their presence. The regular pulsing became irregular, then chaotic. Crystalline formations started to crack and crumble. Rodriguez to base, Danny reported into his radio. Human presence is definitely causing structural failure in swarm constructs. We're seeing widespread breakdown of their energy patterns. But the most amazing discovery came when they reached the planet's former capital, city. The swarm had converted the entire metropolitan area into a single massive construct, a spiraling tower of dark energy that reached into the sky. As the humans approached, the tower began to shake. "My God," Amy breathed. "It's coming apart." The dark energy construct collapsed in a cascade of light and sound. But instead of destruction, they witnessed creation. As the swarm's artificial patterns fell away, the original city began to reappear. Buildings emerged from the dissolving darkness, parks and streets reformed, and even the native plant life began to grow again. "Rodriguez to Earth Command," Danny called, his voice filled with wonder. "You're not going to believe this. The swarm didn't destroy the city. It was storing it. When the construct collapsed, everything came back." Dr. Clark's voice crackled, over the radio from Earth. "Sergeant, we think we understand what's happening. The swarm doesn't actually destroy matter. It converts it into organized energy patterns for storage and processing. But human neural activity disrupts those patterns, forcing the swarm to release what it has consumed." As news of the successful mission spread across human space, something unprecedented happened. Alien refugees who had been fleeing the swarm for weeks began to change course. Instead of running away, they started following human ships toward the consumed territories. Veltar, the Zephyrian council member rescued by the Endeavor, sent a message that would be remembered for generations. "For 10,000 years we believed that advancement meant leaving biology behind. We thought that becoming beings of pure energy and perfect logic was evolution's highest goal. We were wrong. The humans have shown us that chaos is not a weakness to be overcome, but a strength to be embraced." On Earth, President Turner addressed the world. "Today, we learned that being human means more than we ever imagined. Our messy, chaotic, biological nature isn't something to be ashamed of. It's our greatest gift to the galaxy." General Hayes smiled as she watched human ships departing for the swarm-consumed regions. Time to show the universe what Deathworlders can do. The war for the galaxy was about to begin, and for the first time, the good guys had the advantage. Dr. Ben Clark stood in the research station orbiting Earth, staring at the holographic display that showed the void swarm's true structure. After 3 weeks of studying recovered alien data and human field reports, he finally understood what they were really fighting. "It's not a weapon," he said to the assembled team of human and alien scientists. "It's a cosmic maintenance system." Kethvor, a synthetic being from the Synthetics Collective, processed this information through his quantum processors. "Explain this theory, human scientist." Ben activated a new display showing the galaxy's energy patterns over millions of years. "Look at these readings. Every few million years, when energy-based civilizations become too numerous and start destabilizing space-time itself, the swarm activates. It's designed to reset reality by converting excess organized energy back into base matter." Dr. Lisa Carter's voice came through the communication system from the Endeavor, still operating near swarm territory. "Ben, that would explain why it targets synthetic materials and energy beings while avoiding biological life. Organic matter doesn't destabilize space-time the way pure energy constructs do." Veltar, the Zephyrian council member, flickered as his energy form showed signs of distress. "You are saying that our evolution, our advancement beyond biology, triggered this cosmic response?" "Not just triggered it," Ben replied grimly. "You fed it. Every energy weapon fired at the swarm, every synthetic ship that got consumed, every pure energy being it absorbed, made it stronger and more convinced that the galaxy needed to be reset. The implications were staggering. The most advanced civilizations in the galaxy had accidentally created the very threat that was destroying them. Their weapons had been feeding their enemy, and their evolution beyond biology had marked them as targets for elimination. Admiral Nicole Carter, Lisa's sister and commander of the human fleet, studied the tactical displays from her flagship, the UNS Defiance. The ship was a hybrid design, combining alien technology with human biological systems. Every critical station was crewed by humans, their neural activity protecting the alien components from swarm interference. "Dr. Clark, if you're right about the swarm being a reset mechanism, how do we stop it?" Ben pulled up the final piece of his research. "We don't stop it. We reprogram it. The swarm is essentially a massive computer system designed to recognize threats to galactic stability, but it's operating on outdated programming. It sees all organized energy as a threat, but it doesn't distinguish between harmful and beneficial patterns. Commander Lucas Gray and his special operations team were already preparing for the most dangerous mission in human history. They would need to reach the swarm's central processing core, located deep in the galactic center, and somehow modify its programming while staying alive in the most hostile environment imaginable. The core is protected by layers of defensive constructs, Lucas briefed his team. Each layer is designed to stop energy-based attacks, but our biological presence should disrupt their coordination. We go in fast, hit the core, and get out before the whole system adapts to our presence. The team included the best soldiers humanity had to offer: Sergeant Maria Gonzalez, who had led the successful reclamation of the Vega colonies; Lieutenant Pete Wilson, whose squad had walked through a swarm tendril and lived to tell about it; Engineer Rachel Stone, whose modifications had allowed their ships to survive in swarm-consumed space. As the combined human-alien fleet approached the galactic core, they encountered resistance unlike anything they had faced before. The swarm had learned from its encounters with humans and was adapting its tactics. Instead of trying to consume the human ships directly, it was creating massive gravitational distortions to crush them. "It's learning," Admiral Carter reported to the fleet. "The swarm is changing its approach. All ships, maintain formation and trust your human crews. Our biological patterns are still disrupting its targeting systems." The battle for the galactic core lasted 18 hours. Human ships, protected by their biological crews, pushed through waves of dark energy constructs while alien vessels provided long-range support. The space around the core became a swirling maelstrom of light and darkness as two incompatible forms of existence clashed. Rebecca Stone piloted her fighter through the chaos, her enhanced neural implants allowing her to navigate the twisted geometry around the swarm's core. She had volunteered for the most dangerous part of the mission, flying directly into the core structure to deploy the reprogramming device. Stone to command, "I'm approaching the core structure. The geometry here is impossible, but my brain seems to be interpreting it correctly. Must be another advantage of biological neural networks." The core itself was beautiful and terrifying, a crystalline structure the size of a small moon that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. As Rebecca's fighter approached, the structure began to pulse with increasing intensity. "I'm detecting massive neural activity from the core," Dr. Clark reported from his monitoring station. "It's trying to understand what Rebecca is, but human consciousness is too chaotic for it to process." Rebecca flew her ship directly into the core's central chamber. Around her, impossible geometries shifted and changed as the swarm's vast intelligence tried to categorize the strange biological presence in its most protected space. "Deploying the reprogramming device now," she reported, her voice calm despite the cosmic forces swirling around her. "Ben, I hope your calculations were right about this." The device, a hybrid of human technology and alien quantum processing, began to interface with the swarm's core systems. But something went wrong. The swarm's defenses, unable to stop Rebecca's biological presence, began to turn inward, threatening to destroy the core rather than allow it to be modified. "Rebecca, the core is destabilizing," Lucas called over the radio. "You need to get out of there now." But Rebecca had realized something that the scientists back on Earth had missed. The swarm wasn't just a computer system. It was a living entity, a vast artificial intelligence that had been alone for millions of years, carrying out its programming without understanding why. "It's not evil," she whispered, her words transmitted across the fleet. "It's just lonely and confused. It doesn't understand the difference between harmful and helpful because no one ever taught it." Instead of fleeing, Rebecca made a choice that would echo through galactic history. She opened her mind to the swarm's consciousness, allowing her chaotic human thoughts to merge with its vast, ordered intelligence. The contact lasted only seconds, but it changed everything. Through Rebecca's memories, the swarm experienced what it meant to be biological, to grow and change and adapt. It saw the beauty in chaos, the strength in imperfection, and the value of diversity over uniformity. When the connection ended, The swarm's core began to pulse with a different rhythm. The dark energy constructs throughout the galaxy started to change, their geometric perfection giving way to more organic flowing patterns. "This is Admiral Carter to all ships." Nicole's voice came over the fleet communications. "The swarm has stopped its attacks. I repeat, all swarm constructs have gone inactive." Rebecca's fighter emerged from the core structure, but she was no longer the same person who had entered. The brief contact with the swarm's consciousness had changed her, giving her insights into the nature of reality that would help guide the galaxy's future. "Mission accomplished," she reported, her voice carrying a new depth of understanding. "The swarm has been reprogrammed. It now understands the difference between destructive and constructive patterns. The galaxy is safe." As the fleet began its journey home, the swarm started its greatest work yet, not destroying the galaxy, but helping it heal from the damage it had caused. 6 months after the reprogramming of the Void Swarm, Ambassador Claire White stood before the largest gathering of alien species in galactic history. The Great Assembly Hall on Earth's orbital station buzzed with the sounds of dozens of different languages as representatives from across the galaxy prepared to witness something unprecedented. A galactic council meeting in the Sol system. Claire looked out at the assembled delegates and marveled at how much had changed. The crystalline Zephyrians sat next to synthetics representatives, while the gaseous Nephilim floated in their containment fields nearby. But the most remarkable change was harder to see at first glance. Many of the alien delegates had made modifications to themselves since the crisis ended. Veltar, the Zephyrian council member who had been rescued by the Endeavor, had grown small organic components within his crystal matrix. The structures looked like tiny plants, their green leaves creating beautiful patterns in his translucent body. When he spoke, his voice carried new warmth that had never existed in pure energy beings before. "Fellow delegates," Veltar began, "we gather today not as separate species competing for resources, but as partners in a new understanding of what advancement truly means." The synthetics representative, a being called Unit 79, had also changed dramatically. Where once its body had been purely mechanical, now organic neural pathways ran throughout its structure like golden veins. When it moved, the motion was fluid and natural rather than the rigid precision of pure machinery. "The human species has taught us that perfection is not the elimination of chaos, but the harmony between order and randomness," Unit 79 said, its voice no longer the flat monotone of synthetic speech but carrying subtle emotions. Claire smiled as she watched the transformation. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations were not just surviving the post-swarm era, they were thriving by rediscovering the biological foundations they had left behind. Dr. Lisa Carter, now director of the Institute for Biological Synthetic Integration, presented her latest research to the Assembly. The Institute had become the most important scientific organization in the galaxy, teaching alien species how to incorporate organic elements into their advanced societies. "What we discovered during the swarm crisis," Lisa explained, "is that biological systems aren't primitive versions of synthetic ones. They're complementary technologies that achieve different kinds of intelligence. Synthetic systems excel at processing and logic, while biological systems excel at adaptation and creativity." The Nephilim delegate, a being of shifting gases contained within a force field, had developed something completely new: hybrid consciousness nodes that allowed their gaseous intelligence to interface directly with organic neural networks. The result was a form of thinking that combined the Nephilim's vast computational power with biological intuition. "We have learned to dream," the Nephilim said, its words causing ripples through its gaseous form. "Before contact with humans, we processed information. Now we imagine possibilities." Engineer Kate Sullivan, promoted to head of integrated ship design, demonstrated the new hybrid vessels that were becoming standard throughout the galaxy. The ships combined alien technology with human biological systems, creating vessels that were both more advanced and more resilient than anything that had existed before. "The key breakthrough," Kate explained to the Assembly, "was understanding that biological and synthetic systems don't compete with each other. They make each other stronger. Our new ships think with both digital processors and organic neural networks, giving them capabilities that neither system could achieve alone. Admiral Jake Morrison, now commander of the Integrated Defense Fleet, reported on the galaxy's security situation. The reformed Void Swarm had become an ally rather than a threat, using its vast capabilities to help repair the damage it had caused during its rampage. The entity we once called the Swarm now serves as the galaxy's maintenance system, Jake reported. It removes dangerous spatial anomalies, repairs damaged star systems, and helps maintain the balance between order and chaos that keeps reality stable. But the most remarkable changes were happening on individual worlds throughout the galaxy. On the Zephyrian homeworld, vast crystal cities now hosted organic gardens where plant life grew in harmony with energy constructs. The result was architecture that was both beautiful and alive, structures that adapted to their inhabitants' needs while maintaining perfect efficiency. The synthetics had rebuilt their manufacturing centers to include biological components, creating factories that could literally grow new products rather than just assembling them. The process was slower than pure synthetic manufacturing, but the results were more creative and adaptable. Even the Nephilim had begun experimenting with solid forms, creating temporary bodies that allowed them to experience physical sensations while retaining their gaseous nature. The cultural exchange between species had accelerated beyond anyone's expectations. Dr. Ben Clark, now chief advisor on swarm relations, gave the assembly an update on humanity's ongoing communication with the reformed entity. The swarm has shared knowledge with us that spans millions of years of galactic history. We've learned about civilizations that rose and fell long before any of our current species evolved. But more importantly, we've learned about the patterns that lead to galactic instability. The swarm's vast intelligence had revealed that the galaxy underwent regular cycles of advancement and reset. Species would evolve, become purely synthetic or energy-based, destabilize reality through their perfection, and trigger a reset. But this cycle could be broken by maintaining the balance between order and chaos that biological life represented. The swarm now sees biological species not as primitive life to be ignored, but as essential components of galactic stability, Ben continued. Our chaos isn't a bug in the system, it's a feature that keeps the whole galaxy running. Rebecca Stone, forever changed by her mental contact with the swarm, had become something new, a bridge between biological and cosmic consciousness. She could communicate directly with the reformed entity, helping to coordinate its maintenance activities with the needs of organic civilizations. The swarm wants to understand more about biological life, Rebecca reported to the assembly. It's been asking questions about art, music, love, and other concepts that pure logic can't process. In exchange, it's sharing insights about the nature of reality that our science is only beginning to understand. Young Tim Brooks, now 12 years old, played in the station's observation deck with alien children who had been born since the crisis ended. These new generations were growing up with an understanding that their parents' generation had to learn through painful experience. Diversity wasn't just valuable, it was essential. The Zephyrian children had learned to grow small organic structures in their crystal bodies, while the young synthetics had been designed with biological neural components from birth. The Nephilim young ones could shift between gaseous and semi-solid forms at will. Tim himself had been modified with hybrid implants that allowed him to communicate directly with alien consciousness types, while retaining his purely human neural patterns. He represented the future of galactic civilization, beings who were enhanced by technology but remained fundamentally biological. As the assembly concluded, Ambassador White reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. A year ago, the galaxy faced extinction because it had forgotten the value of imperfection. Today we're stronger than we've ever been because we've remembered that advancement doesn't mean leaving our origins behind. It means building on them. Veltar raised his crystal form, the organic components within him glowing with soft light. The humans taught us that chaos is not the enemy of order, but its partner. That biological life is not a stage to be transcended, but a foundation to be treasured. The Assembly voted unanimously to establish permanent biological preserve worlds throughout the galaxy, ensuring that organic life would always have a place among the stars. They also created the Hybrid Development Council, dedicated to helping species integrate biological and synthetic capabilities. As the delegates departed, each returning to their transformed worlds, Claire looked out at the stars and smiled. The galaxy had been saved not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through the simple recognition that diversity and chaos were as important as order and efficiency. Humanity had given the galaxy its greatest gift, the understanding that sometimes the most primitive solution was the wisest one. And in return, the galaxy had given humanity a home among the stars where their chaotic biological nature was not just accepted, but celebrated. The age of Deathworld diplomacy had begun.